Thanks for joining us for the Member xCite presentation. The Member xCite presentation is informative, interesting to the audience, and showcases the strengths of the presenter as an entrepreneur and their area of expertise. It's not a sales pitch, it's a 10-minute educational and insightful exploration into what they do. And of course, it's exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our xCite presenter today, Glenn Newberry from Suburbanite, to present to us on good debt, bad debt, how to make it work for you. Good debt and bad debt, what's the difference between the two, and how can you make debt work for you to create financial independence without breaking the bank? In this xCite presentation, Glenn shows you how to make debt work for you to build wealth through property investing. Glenn's story is a fascinating window into the level of wealth that can be achieved by following the right property investment strategies. His own property investment experience got off to a rocky start, but soon learned the power of having a guide to pave the way for his investment transformation. As a property investor advisor at Suburbanite, Glenn is now the guide for countless people seeking to build their own successful property portfolios, inspiring people with his extensive knowledge and compelling insights. And he empowers them with his innovative strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Glenn Newberry.
Right, good morning everybody. My name is Glenn Newberry from Suburbanite, property investment advisor and buyer's agent. And today I'm going to be talking to you about good debt, bad debt, and how to make it work for you. First of all, you've just heard a little bit of insight. I'm an affiliate director and property investment advisor at Suburbanite, and been investing in property for 24 years myself. And I've used many different strategies over that period of time. Bought and sold more than 30 properties for my own portfolio. And continually educate myself, and that's really important because what that allows me to do is, number one, become a better investor for myself, but number two, be able to provide better service and information to my clients. And I also organise and host a Sydney property meeting, which I hold once a month in Parramatta. A little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial planner, I'm not a solicitor. What I'm giving today is not financial advice. Everyone's scenario is different. Please make sure that you get the relevant advice for your situation. So onto the topic, good debt, bad debt, and better debt. So what is good debt? There's no such thing as good debt. All debt is bad, but there is bad debt and better debt, okay? So what is bad debt? It's debt that is used to buy something that doesn't generate income and is not tax deductible. So usually personal debt, for example, home loans or car loans, personal loans, credit cards, they're all considered bad debt because they don't generate income. Typically they're not tax deductible unless you're buying stuff on a credit card for business purposes, but other than that. So what is better debt? Better debt is used to purchase assets that generate income and are tax deductible. For example, investment loans for investment properties and things like that. So how do you make debt work for you? So when you're investing, always use the bank's money for investing, don't use cash. There's no tax advantages to using cash. So with my own personal investing, I'll always use equity to be able to invest, which is obviously the next one there. Use equity, so first of all, use equity that you have in an investment property. If you don't have that, then use equity that you have in your home, so personal equity. And then if you don't have that, then you really have no choice but to use cash. Cash is always a last resort, as I said before. There's no tax benefits to using cash when investing. So what is equity? Equity is the difference between the value of your home and the amount of debt that you have left on your home. So in the example that we've got there, let's say your home is worth $1 million and you currently have $6,000 worth of debt on that property, then you have $400,000 worth of equity, or 40% of equity. Now, you can't access 100% of your equity in your home, so we talk about what we call accessible equity. Now, typically the banks like to see that you've got at least 20% equity that you keep, that you can't access. So again, if we use that same example where you've got a home that's worth $1 million and you have a $600,000. So if you've got a home that's worth $1 million and you've got $600,000 worth of debt and you need to keep 20% equity, then you only have 20% accessible equity, which is $200,000, right? So what we can do is we can utilise that $200,000 of accessible equity to start our property investment journey. So in the next example there, we can use that. So let's say we take out or we access that $200,000 worth of equity, and let's say we're purchasing a property for $500,000, then our 20% deposit for that property is going to be $100,000 plus around about 5% in purchase cost, which is a bit of a guide. So that'll be another $25,000. So out of that $200,000 worth of equity, you're going to be using about $125,000 to cover the deposit and all the purchase costs on a $500,000 purchase, and then you get a loan from the banks, another bank, same bank, doesn't matter, for the remaining $400,000 of the purchase price. What that enables us to do is utilise equity and no cash to get started on the property investment journey. You can also purchase that property, that same $500,000 property, using a 10% deposit rather than a 20% deposit. So again, if you've got that $200,000 worth of equity and you decide you're going to buy a $500,000 property and you're going to use a 10% deposit, then you'll only need a $50,000 deposit plus your purchase costs, which are another 5%, plus you'll have to pay what we call lender's mortgage insurance, and that's roughly, just as a bit of a guide, $2,000 per every $100,000. Now that varies from financial provider to different financial provider, but as a bit of a guide, it's around about $2,000 for every 100,000. So all up, you're going to need about $85,000 to purchase that same $500,000 property out of your $200,000 worth of equity, right? Now, the advantage of that is that if that $500,000 property grows by, let's say, 10%, if you use the 20% model, you're going to invest $125,000 of your money into a $500,000 property, and when it grows by 10%, you've made $50,000 gain for your $125,000 input, right? Whereas you could have bought that exact same property with a 10% deposit, plus your $10,000 lender's mortgage insurance, plus your $25,000 purchase cost, so a total of $85,000. And when that property grows by 10%, you've now made a $50,000 gain for only an $85,000 input. So your money is working a lot harder for you than it is if you're using a 20% deposit, right? But the advantage of that also is you had a $200 equity loan, a $200,000 equity loan. If you'd have used 20% deposit, you've used $125,000, you've now only got $75,000 left of that equity loan, and you can't do anything with that, or you can't go and buy another property with that because you just don't have enough money. Whereas if you'd only used 10% deposit, you'd used $85,000 out of that $200,000, you now still have $115,000 left, which enables you to then potentially go and buy a second $500,000 property using a 10% deposit, and now you're buying two properties with that $200,000 worth of equity, right? And if those two properties both grow by 10%, you've now made $100,000 for your $200,000 available equity, whereas previously, if you used a 20% deposit, you would have only made $50,000 for your $200,000 worth of accessible equity, right? So your money is working a lot harder for you. We all work very hard to earn the money that we earn. So when you have the ability with the money, you need to make it work hard for you. So I've thrown in an example there on the next page. That is actually my property that I purchased back in October last year. And you can see I paid $485,000 for it. And down in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the current estimated value as of about a week ago at $570,000. So only 9 months, and had 20-something% growth in the Adelaide market. So it's a very strong market. So then going back to that model, you can then get the growth in those 2 investment properties that you purchased and repeat the process. 10% deposit to go and buy some more $500,000 properties, right? So that's how you can build your portfolio quite rapidly. Number one, you've got to be buying properties in the right location to get that growth, but it allows you to really utilise that equity and make your money work hard for you, and you can repeat the process. So I ran a couple of webinars last year. One was called How to Retire Early on $2,000 a week from your property portfolio, and the other one was How to Pay off your home and be debt free through property investing. The QR codes and the web links are there. Feel free to watch them. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Glenn Newberry from Suburbanite, making sure you don't make a mistake in investing. Any questions?
Not necessarily a question, but one of the things that I'd like to add to the part about lenders' mortgage insurance is a lot of people see it as a dead cost.
That's
you
right.
You need to remember that it's tax deductible.
Correct.
So not only are you not having to fork out that extra part of your equity, but you're also getting a tax deduction on that mortgage insurance.
Right. Yeah. 100%. A lot of people, and even I find some mortgage brokers, you don't want to go over 80% borrowing because you're going to have to pay the lender's mortgage insurance. What that tells me is they don't understand the power of it. So it is very, very powerful to use that. All of my properties were purchased with a 90% LVR because that just allows you to accelerate your money and the growth and make it work a lot harder for you.
So I guess my thing is around if you're starting out, how setting yourself up so you've got the service and around the loan.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, you've got to have either some equity or something, and provided you've got reasonable sorts of income, and you've got some equity, then getting loans for investments are not too difficult. A lot more difficult than it was 5 or 10 years ago, but you've got to remember that you're getting rental income from those properties, and that actually counts towards your serviceability to get the loan for that in a lot of instances. You've got to have something, either equity that you can access or cash to be able to get started. Actually, some people, I work with a couple of clients at the moment who are young, they live at home with their parents. They don't have the cash, and what they're doing is using what we call a parental guarantee, where the parents are actually allowing the bank to use equity in their home to allow their children to get onto the property market and get up and going. So that's a great way as well if you can use a parental guarantee for the younger kids who don't have the savings and the parents trust them. But it's a great way to get on the property ladder.
And they also got something.
Correct. Yes, they still have to have the serviceability because if the child decides not to pay it, they're going to be liable for that. So yeah.
And you need to find yourself with the work.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.